Huntsville City School parents have less than 10 days to make a big decision for their families. Whether to send their children back to school for traditional learning amid the coronavirus pandemic or keep them home and take on virtual learning for the semester. Mother of two and local therapist Tobea Cook joins us now to talk more about the issue. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you guys for having me.
Tobea, as a mother of two, what learning plan are you considering for your children, and what are the factors that you're taking into consideration in your decision?
I have not made a decision yet. I am leaning more towards the virtual option simply because my 5-year-old does have a pre-existing health disorder in which he's immunocompromised. However, I don't feel as though I have enough information to make an informed decision about the virtual platform. I'm just not confident that a 5-year-old would be successful doing that because it does take quite a bit of time and a lot of discipline to be able to be successful at online learning. However, I don't feel comfortable sending him back in the building with his pre-existing health condition.
There has been a lot of concern about the mental health implications of keeping children home and the lack of socialization if parents decide to go with the virtual learning option. So what are some of the ways that parents can balance that out and incorporate some of those socialization skills if they decide to go with the virtual option?
I think parents are going to have to put forth a lot more of an effort in making sure that their kids remain social. For kids like mine who have siblings in the home, they may not suffer from it as much, although ideally they would like to be amongst their peers. As long as there's other children in the home, then they don't always feel as lonely. But for those kids who may be the only child, or if there's a large gap in between the age groups, you have to put forth more of an effort to try to meet those social needs of the kids. It's also very important to kind of watch out for those symptoms of the isolation and monitoring whether or not they could be becoming depressed about being isolated for so long. So we kind of have to watch our kids a little bit more carefully during this time in which they have been isolated from their peers for as long as they have.
This year will be a school year unlike any we've ever experienced before. What types of emotions might our youth be experiencing right now?
The most common emotion that I have heard from kids is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of catching COVID. They don't really know a whole lot about it other than what they hear on the news or what they hear their parents talk about. But it's a lot of fear, and fear has been pretty much instilled in social media, on the news. So the kids are afraid, the parents are afraid, teachers are afraid. The most common emotion that I have saw within doing counseling is fear, that anxiety, the unknown, not knowing what to expect.
What are the conversations parents should be having with their children?
Educate the children on the precautions that must be taken to ensure their safety. They should also have the conversation of gauging what their children are experiencing. We oftentimes assume that we may know what our children are going through, or it's easy to get caught up in work and being a parent that sometimes we don't take the time out to assess what they need during this time. So just taking a moment to talk to your kids and say, hey, what do you feel like you need? I know this is tough. This has been a major adjustment for everyone. What would help you get through this? What do you prefer? Asking what their choices are and what their preferences are in regards to returning to school, whether they would like to do traditional or virtual, and just asking those questions about why they would like to make that decision and kind of, allowing them the opportunity to have a voice in their decision about school as well.
Let's talk about what parents might be experiencing right now. As we mentioned, the deadline to apply for virtual learning is on July 20th. That gives parents a little over a week to make a big decision for their children. What are the emotions parents might be experiencing?
Extreme anxiety. I myself, I'm a parent, I'm a mental health professional. I have my own business. I'm a single mother. So it's a lot. It's a lot of provisions that would need to be made if parents like myself make the choice to keep our kids at home. I have a business to run. Of course, my kids' safety is going to be my number one priority amongst all things. However, it is a very anxious time, and it is a lot of fear because, like I said, the unknown. I don't want to send my kids into an unsafe environment, and it's a lot to try to put, it's a lot of factors that must come into place when it comes to being prepared to school them at home. And I know I can't do that in 10 days. I can't make the necessary provisions in order to teach my children at home and work and run a business in 10 days.
What are some ways that families can deal with these emotions?
If you are noticing an increased amount of fear, an increased amount of anxiety, I always recommend talking to someone about it, whether it be leaning on support from your family members. If there are necessary things that you can do, whether it's you looking into getting additional tutoring for your kids at home, just try your best to be knowledgeable about the resources that are available to you. And if you are experiencing an intense amount of anxiety, then talking to a mental health professional about your anxiety. This is a difficult time for everyone, myself included. So just making sure that you have knowledge about your resources and come up with a plan.
Mother of two and local therapist Tobea Cook, thank you so much for your time and insight tonight.
Thank you, guys.